Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Friday, January 27th, 2017.
Commissioner Rivas, Repenning, James, Davis, and Jacinto are present. President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Larry Hsu, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Frank Rinaldi with the Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Sherman Torres, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Barry Bergen, Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under General Public Comment, Neighborhood Council Commentary, nor any of the regular items for today's agenda.
Okay, then we will close general public comment as well as the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. Our first item of business, the approval of the meeting minutes from the meeting of Monday, January 9th, 2017. Is there a second to my motion that we approve those meeting minutes? Second. By Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we will approve those meeting minutes. Agenda item number 3, which is a tree removal in Council District 5. It's been requested to continue the item to Friday, February 8th, 2017, request from the Council Office. So we'll continue the item to Friday, February 8th, 2017, agenda item number 3. Going back to agenda item number 1, authority for expenditure to issue change order number 19 to John S. Meek Company Incorporated in Council District 6 and 7, requesting that the board authorize the city engineer to issue emergency change order number 19 to John S. Meek Company Incorporated for a not to exceed amount of $187,664 for the Sun Valley Economic Development Administration Public Improvement Project to retrofit all of the 46 dry wells, catch basins, and provide curb opening screens and inserts to protect the systems from debris intrusion. Carl De La Fuente on agenda item number 1.
Thank you, Commissioner James. Good morning, Commissioners, Bureau representatives. My name is Carl De La Fuente. I'm Project Manager with the Bureau of Engineering. I'm here to request authority for the emergency change order to approve the retrofit of 46 dry well catch basins due to public hazard that created a situation of public incubators on those dry wells. Situation was quite critical. The LA County Vector Control contacted us immediately because the situation was creating as I said, public hazard, and therefore we acted swiftly and promptly. We contacted our contractor. They provide us a preliminary change order in the amount of $176,000, $714. Okay, so that it was the initial agreement, subject to time and material. Thereafter, when we were progressing, we encountered the situation that we needed to clean up those catch basins due to an emergency situation. Unfortunately, we didn't have forces for other bureaus to support us in that regard, so that it was increased to $187, additional $10,000 that were appropriately expended. Okay, so the final change order came out with amount $187,664. Okay, at the end, all the retrofit was successful. Okay, we provided BMPs just to make sure that the intrusion or large reach was not compromised and the life of the wells was sustainable. So nowadays, the wells are perfectly right now retrofitted, and all the change orders have been completed accordingly.
Nothing like mosquito breeding to interrupt a construction job. Any questions on agenda item number 1? Commissioner Jacinto, we'll start with you.
Thank you, President James. Carl, thank you for the report. It's good to see that we close out the contract 1% above the amount. To the catch basins that we retrofitted and obviously made better so that they don't have the standing water and clear debris. They're catching storm water, correct? For the record there.
That is, yes, Commissioner. Welcome for the question. This is the first time we're doing this implementation of dry wells, especially in an urban area, and kind of like initially was considered a pilot project, but a very large pilot project with 46 of these systems. Okay, catch basins are considered kind of like drainage devices. But just for educational purposes, I will say for this kind of application, the catch basins are part of an infiltration devices. Therefore, in order to maintain and support the life of the wells, we added screens and some receptacles inside of the wells called inserts, just to make sure that any kind of material higher than 5 millimeters is already catch before entering into the system. So I want to emphasize those are infiltration devices, and foremost, that we want to get infiltrate water directly to the aquifer and the North San Fernando Valley.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. Anything further on agenda item number 1? I don't have any other questions on number 1. Commissioner Santos made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 1, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 1. Any issue sending number 1 forthwith? We'll send
Thank you,
number
Commissioner
1
James.
forthwith. Thank you. Agenda item number 2 in Council District 14, authority to revise the budget for the construction and maintenance agreements for the 6th Street Viaduct Replacement Project. Recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to increase the not-to-exceed ceiling from $10,500,000 to $10,690,000, that's $190,000, to enter into design services agreements, construction and maintenance agreements, rights of entry, and to process and deliver all payments related to working on the property of each of the following 5 railroad agencies: National Railroad Passenger Corporation, BNSF Railway Company, Metropolitan Transportation Authority, Southern California Regional Rail Authority, and authorize the Director of the Office of Accounting to draw the necessary demands upon request from the city engineer to reimburse and or make advance payments to the above-mentioned railroads as approved by the Bureau of Engineering Real Estate Division and the 6th Street Viaduct Division. Julia Moy on number 2.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Julia Moy with the Bureau of Engineering, 6th Street Viaduct Division. Today I'm coming to you with a request for authority to increase the city engineer's authority to enter into C&M agreements with the 5 rail agencies whose cross over, or the tracks we cross over as part of the project. In particular, the need for this increase in authority comes from some developments in our agreement with UPRR, Union Pacific Railroad. So what happened? First of all, part of our executed C&M agreement with UPRR required or had a provision for us to compensate them for cross-tie work for work they needed to do on their tracks to support our project. This work was estimated at $240,000. Invoices came in for this work at over $600,000, approximately 3 times over what was estimated in the C&M agreement. Also, at that time, around the same time, UPRR approached the city. Although we had discussed with you...
Julia, real
yes.
quick, was there a common denominator reason that the invoices came in so much higher than we expected?
Yes, it was, I think, underestimated by UPRR, the amount of support they would need to do and the extent of the paving the contractor would be performing in association with the project to support their work, demolition, and construction of the viaduct. Seems, and unfortunately, there was a miscommunication. In addition, although during negotiations of the original agreement we had discussed the need to kind of have closure, full access to UPR tracks, this is something that wasn't written explicitly in our agreement. So they also came and asked for a supplemental agreement to be compensated for our closure requests and their associated impacts, including kind of rearranging rail cars in their yard. So in concern for our project budget, we did work with them and the council office to negotiate with them on their requests. We were able, I'm happy to say, to reduce the overage for their track mitigation work. They agreed to absorb 2/3 of the costs related with the overages, with us taking 1/3. And in terms of the supplemental agreement, we requested that UPRR add not to exceed language so that we could better anticipate their costs and account for that in our budget for closure requests. So what this additional funding, $190,000, will do will allow us to compensate them for this 1/3 of the overages on the track mitigation, as well as compensate them for their costs associated with our outage requests. And I would like to say with UPRR, along with all of the other rail agencies, we closely review their invoices to ensure that all charges relate to the project, and ensure that we're able to keep their costs to a minimum.
Okay. Commissioner Ascento on number 2.
Thank you. Julia, thanks for that. That's kind of a surprise. Do we have any idea of why they would, subsidize and absorb that 2/3 of the cost? Is it because that they kind of over or underestimated the work?
Well, the council office and the mayor's office joined us in working with UPR, negotiating with them on this. The UPR has successfully, worked with the city and gotten the city support on their project, on permits related to their street impacts and other impacts for their projects. So I think in partnership and kind of
Good faith.
supporting our relationship, they agreed to absorb some of the costs.
Excellent. Thank you.
Julie, would it be fair to say that over the related to the whole 6th Street Viaduct project, the 6th Street Bridge project, that the work with the railroad companies was a bit more extensive and prolonged and expensive than we anticipated going in, just across the board?
Yes, I think part of that is there has been, historically, especially on our bridge projects, overages where we've encountered that the estimates in the C&M agreements aren't adequate, where we've had to, find additional funding and renegotiate. So one thing I have to say is the railroads and city, wanted to ensure the costs were realistic, and that's part of the reason. Also, just given the number of tracks and some of the mitigation that has to be done, being a major corridor, and also that has large kind of storage tracks there for both UPR and BNSF, there were quite a few mitigation costs incurred by the railroads.
Well, when you look at the area of the 6th Street Bridge and the amount of railroad activity with the different companies, it became quite a complicated process.
Yes.
Are we now at the end of increased budget requests related to railroads? Do you think?
We have.
I'm asking you to speculate, but...
Yeah. At this time, we, have been tracking their costs as they have been being incurred through demo and the impacts we've been incurring, and things are in line and fitting well within budget. So we aren't anticipating that there's going to be increases needed at this time.
Okay. Any other questions on agenda item number 2? Commissioner Sintos made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2. I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Any problem sending it forthwith? We'll send number 2 forthwith. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 3, continued to February the 8th at the request of the council office. Number 4, Bureaus of Engineering and Sanitation in Council District 11, authorization to utilize construction services contract, our Cisco contract for the Venice Pumping Plant 646 Sluice Gate number 3 repair, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to use Cisco and to issue task work orders to the contractor for an amount not to exceed $250,000 for the capital improvement project number 7251 Venice Pumping Plant 646 Sluice Gate number 3 repair project. Crystal Lee on number 4.
Good morning. My name is Crystal Lee, Project Manager at Public Works, Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. We're requesting authorization for the city engineer to use Cisco contract for the amount not to exceed $250,000 for the Venice Pumping Plant 646. The sluice gate number 3 repair was noticed to not be working. This is in the Venice pumping plant, which is a main hub for the sewer conveyance of the whole collection system, basically the main hub of where everything comes from, the LA area, down to Hyperion. In that pumping plant, there are 4 gates in the wet well. The majority of the sewage diversion is controlled by these gates, and BOS requested that the emergency repair for gate number 3 be addressed by BOE. It was noticed that it wouldn't close, and without being able to close, you can't access the pump, meaning the pump won't work or be able to be maintained, and the actual damage or corrosion to that gate was blocked by flowing sewage. With that gate not functioning and the pump potentially not being able to be maintained, it is potential that the wet well could flood and result in flowing into the streets of Venice and the channel next door. So the scope of our work was for the exploratory work and investigation of this gate to figure out why it wouldn't close and what the corrosion issues were. There was definitely visible damage to the frame of the gate itself and the gearbox that controlled the motor and the gate. We project to be well under budget, and we don't expect to come back for any more money. The gate required that we build out a blockage type bulkhead to stop the flow and investigate the gate itself. So those things have been initiated by the contractor, and we are working and moving forward to complete that.
Thank you, Crystal. Commissioner Cinto on number 4.
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you for this report. So sluice gate number 3 is out of commission right now, and
Right now, we've done the bulkhead construction, so it kind of needed a custom blockage so that we could block it out, and we've been able to do that.
So we've completed the work to repair it.
We've been able to access the gate and fix the channel and clear it all out, and the gate is now moving up and down. We had to do some manual movements, and then the gearbox needed some custom modernization as well.
How many other gates do we have in the sluice gates?
There are 3 others in that particular wet well, 1 outside in a separate wet well. During the investigatory work, the other gates showed signs of torsion and similar. They're well on their way to be in the same position as gate 3. So we're looking into alternatives. We internally at BOE are exploring the cost analysis of what it would take to get these going, and then we'll present that to BOS to see which construction vehicle they want to take advantage of.
Okay, thank you for doing that. It's something that we want to avoid at all costs, which we will.
Yes.
We're going to repair the gates and do whatever it takes to get those back online.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I certainly have no interest in holding this up, so I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 4, seconded by Commissioners Rivas, Davis, and Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, that will be the order. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send it forthwith. Thank you, Crystal. Agenda item number 5, an authority for expenditure. State Water Resources Control Board, the Office of Accounting, and the Bureau of Sanitation are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure to State Water Resources Control Board in the amount of $33,585 for State Water Resources Control Board fees, our annual fee for waste discharge requirements for the Bureau of Sanitation Collection System, the Terminal Island Collection System, and the Hyperion Collection System for the period of July 1, 2016 to June 30th, 2017, the current fiscal year that we are in until the end of June. Barry Berger.
Good morning. Barry Bergen with Bureau of Sanitation. What you have before you is an authority for expenditure to pay the State Water Resources Control Board for the waste discharge fees for 3 distinct collection systems that are operated and maintained by the City of Los Angeles. The largest being the Hyperion Collection System, then we have the Terminal Island Collection System, and we have the LA Sanitation or Regional Collection System, which discharges to the Los Angeles County Sanitation District Joint Water Pollution Control Plant in Carson. Primarily that is the Harbor City area or the Harbor Gateway area. These fees were mandated in 2007 as part of a statewide initiative to oversee the sanitary sewer collection systems. The fees are subject to change each year. They're full cost recovery. However, I'm pleased to say for this year, there was no increase in the fees. So it's based on each separate system. Each system, the fee is $11,195 for each system, and it covers this fiscal year. With that, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Barry, I think you covered it, but just to put an exclamation point on it, did you say that the fees were the same this year as they were for last year?
That is correct.
Okay.
There was no increase.
No pattern of increase lately. Any questions at all? So we're paying the same annual fee for each of these that we paid in prior years. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 5, seconded by Commissioner Repenning. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 5. Any issue sending number 5 forthwith? We'll send number 5 forthwith. Agenda item number 6, collection management system from the Bureau of Sanitation. Our oral report and update. Adele Hedge-Khalil, we'll start with you, sir.
Great. Good morning, Mr. President, Honorable Commissioners, Bureau Executive, City Attorney, and Executive Officer Adele Hedge-Khalil, Assistant General Manager with Sanitation. We're here before you at your request. I know we've had some dialogue, and you asked us to come and provide you an overview of the collection system management system, which we are very proud to do that, and I'm honored to be joined by Barry Bergren, who's the manager of our operation and maintenance, and then Ali Posti, who's in charge of our engineering and planning, and also we have Mario Dimson, who does our condition assessment and secondary planning. Just to kind of tell you, sanitation is committed to protecting the public health and the environment. That's our mission. That's what we do every day. And the sewer system is one that we really, a lot of people take it for granted. It's out of sight, out of mind. A lot of people just flush their toilet every day and not think about it. And the only time we know about it when something goes wrong. And we want to keep it that way. We'll make sure that nobody have to really worry about it and think about it. But we have an aging system, and the system is extensive. We have 600 to 700 miles, but it's aging, and we need to invest. The great thing is, in the city of Los Angeles, we have made a commitment to develop, and we have developed and implemented a proactive, systematic collection system management practices that is seen by across the nation as a best practices. We used our practices to develop, and I was the chair of the national committee that developed the attributes of an effective collection system management, and was all based on what we do here in LA. We have done a great job. Just tell you where we are back in the late 90s, mid-90s. Every time it rained in LA, we had sewage overflowing across our city, whether it's in South LA by Crenshaw, Leimert Park, in Eagle Rock, LaSalle Park. That's a common occurrence. We had over 700 spills a year, a large number. And that was important for us to say we need to do something. There was litigation. We came together and started collaborating with our partners in the community, the environmental community, and regulators to say we all share the same thing. We need to invest, and we started the investment. It's a long journey, and what we've done is a 10-year effort with the regulators that we just concluded recently as part of a commitment to invest. And we have invested tremendously in our system. It's very prioritized, very systematic, and we have done a great job. And as you will see that recently, the rains that we had last storm, I think, is we had almost 4 storms back to back to back. Some were really, really heavy, and the collection system performed very well. There's more to be done. I'm not telling you everything is perfect. The investment has to be done. We need to continue investing. And I gave the example before. It's like a 747. You're trying to repair it while still flying it. The system will continue to work while we're repairing it and taking care of it. And our staff, our workers, are proud of what they do every day. This is something they work night and day. A lot of people don't see them, but they're working there. During the storms, we have people working 24/7 across the city, making sure the system is being monitored. The system is being taken care of. We're taking more flow in the system to ensure that we are minimizing any potential of surcharge in the system. Our staff were dealing with flooding on the stormwater, but all that is being coordinated, and they're working night and day, and we're very proud of each one of them and the work they do. But that cannot be done alone. I want to say it's all about collaboration, and I want to stress the collaboration, especially with our partners in the Department of Public Works, Bureau of Engineering, and Bureau of Contract Administration. They are together with us, renewing the system, as you heard earlier from the staff from engineering talking about the Venice pump station and the repair that we need to do. All has to be done together. We've invested huge amount of resources and money to renew our sewer system, and we're very proud of what we have done, the results today, and you'll see huge reduction in spills that we're very proud of what we have done, and more to be done. It's on the mayor's, part of the mayor's sustainability plan as a goal. It's a metric. It's on our open data, and we are reporting everything. And we have a relationship that has changed. I want to stress that relationship that we have transformed with our community in South LA, in East LA, with the regulators. It changed from an adversarial relationship where there was no trust into a partnership and a relationship. Now, in South LA, we have great relationship with the community in Crenshaw, across the city in terms of dealing with the sewer issues, and they see the benefit. And what they see is the change that we have had in our system. But we need to continue investing. Investment is critical, and the only way we can do it with the public support, your support, the council support, and mayor's support to continue investing in our infrastructure and doing the right thing. But I'm very proud of the staff that we have. Ali will walk through some of the practices that we're doing quickly, and then Barry will go through the operation and maintenance and the results, and at the end we'll open for your questions. So thank you very much. I'll turn it over to Ali Posti first.
Good morning, Commissioner. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners. Adel, thank you so much. This is a great opportunity to be here to be able to talk about our planning effort. And then I will be talking about planning effort first, and then Barry will take over the operation and maintenance, which is the heavier part of this process. I've also given you, at your disposal, you have a 10-year anniversary report, the thick one, and also annual performance report is also. Collection system, as Adel pointed out, is very vast. We have over 6,700 miles of sewer lines. With the majority of them with 42 pumping stations. 90% of them are smaller than 16 inches in diameter, so that the balance are the large interceptor sewers and the trunk lines that you can see. There are 11,000 miles of laterals also within the city of Los Angeles. And we also serve 29 satellite agencies in addition to our 4 million population. So for that regards, the CWA, California Water Environmental Association, has awarded our system 2 years, 2009 and just recently, 2016, for the best, largest collection system in Sun Life. So planning is really has got two parts. There is one, a structural part or condition of the physical condition of the system, and then the other one is the hydraulic part of it. What is the capacity in that particular line that carry the load? The city has been divided into 26 primary basins. These are the basins that are with the large trunk lines and sewer lines, larger than 16 inches. And if the smaller ones are over 240 basins that address the smaller secondary lines, they are part of that. So, and we also have a program that also look at our pumping plants as well. So I'm going to walk you through this condition assessment first, the physical part of it, and then the hydraulics part of it. The physical condition of our sewer system, of course, starts with our CCTV. We have a very aggressive CCTV program. 86% of the entire system has been televised. That's almost 6,000 miles, 5,800 miles of it has been televised already and inspected. And that has usually done by the city forces, or we have contract agencies who do it for us. Once the CCTV is completed and the results are looked at, then each reach is assigned defected reach is assigned a code. based on that, the numerical assignments, then they are bunched together, and the condition is graded. If it's a condition, B condition, C or D or E. A being the best with no defects needed, and of course E, which is really emergency case, has to be immediately responded to. We had NOS recently as we came and talked to you just not too long ago about that. And that is the collapsed pipe, which requires emergency requirements. So in between 2004 and 2016, we assessed over 7,600 miles of pipes. And of that, which means that with CCTV that much, but and looked at it, but of that was 5,800 was the first time that we looked at these pipes. That's in that 12-year span between 2004 and 2016. We had out of that system, we had the first timers. We had over 3,300 miles that they were A graded, 1,700 miles with B graded, 633 C, and 151 miles were degraded. We also had during these 12 years some emergencies, and that added up to almost 21 miles of repair that was immediately needed and done so. This past year, during fiscal year 2015 and 2016, we completed 431 miles of CCTV and condition assessment ratings. Of that, there were 213 miles of those pipes that were looked at for the first time, not visited before. So out of that numbers, we had 134 miles of A graded, and all the way down to about almost 0.4 miles of emergency that was also repaired as well in that assessment. So this, the next one on slide number 10 gives you a little graphical picture of the number of sewer miles that we have looked at over the past 12, 13 years, since 2004, 2005, which we started really keeping track of this and being the after CC condition assessment aggressively. So so that's the physical part of it. Once that's done, then we have looked at it now. We have CCTV. We've looked at the camera inside the pipe. We know what the condition is. We've graded now. We are also evaluate these pipes for hydraulic analysis. We'll see what is the capacity, the population growth, additional sewer discharges. So that's which strains our system continuously. So we have a very aggressive flow monitoring program. We have 200 installed gauges within the city that gives us a near-time flows at selected locations. And locations were selected based on the areas that we had either most spills or we thought the pipes were undersized or they were susceptible to spillage. So we want to really have an eye on the ball, as you say. The flow capacity also, we also use that to assist the developers because and every developer who has over 10,000 gallons per day of discharge will have to come to us, submit a request to us, and then we evaluate whether we have capacity in that particular neighborhood or the area that they want to discharge to. We will look at that. We will also considering to redo that to bring that level down from 10,000 gallons per day to about 5,000 gallons per day. So we have a little more more knowledge of what is being happening to the system as we move along. This flow monitoring also helps us, which really did in this past storm during the wet weather condition. By knowing what is the level of that particular sewer flows in each particular sewer, we can dispatch, be ready for our crews to be on time, on schedule. As, God forbid, anything happens, we'll be there to provide and remedy the situation. This is the storm commander's dashboard that you can see. It shows really the green shows where the sewer is below the 50% or 75%, and the yellow is where the alarm is, and we have to be concerned about. So for sewer planning, there are, as I said, there are primary lines and also the secondary lines. Each basin really identifies the deficiencies and recommends improvement for that particular one. So, for instance, we look at the reach, we determine what kind of damage has been done, and we recommend corrections and repair and collaboration with our partners at Bureau of Engineering coming with the situation to address or repair the problem. So primary basins, there are larger, sewers larger than 15 inches in diameter. There is 575 miles of those, and as I said, there are 26 primary basins within the city, and they have been completed to date. This next slide is pretty interesting because we have over 2,200 miles of sewers that are pre-1930 constructed, almost 100 years ago, 80-some years ago. They've been the 90s almost. They've been constructed. Of that, there are 2,084 miles smaller than 15 inches and 186 miles larger than 15 inches. For the ones that are larger than 15 inches or primary tanks, just recent report is that there are 30 miles of it that are A condition, 37 miles are B and C condition. Also C is also 37. D is 15 miles, and emergency repair, which we're working on, is about almost half a mile, 44 inches. We also have renewed 221 miles of these 2,200 miles to date. Since 2004, we've done a numerous number of rehabilitations and constructed relief sewers. And the one in front of it is slide number 18, gives you a little picture of the sewer lines that have been completed in the past 10 or 12 years. There are some very large ones like the East Central Interceptor sewers, and not as big ones like Buchanan Relief Sewers. It's just not as big. But there are quite a bit of number of sewer lines that have been constructed, either rehabbed or new ones have been put in. NOS is one of the longest and oldest sewer lines that we have within the city. The NOS is 59 miles long. It starts from west San Fernando Valley, comes along the parallel to Ventura Boulevard, comes around the Horn and Griffith Park area, goes south on San Fernando, then comes through the downtown and goes through South LA and to the Culver City, and then down to Hyperion. Part of it is reinforced concrete, part of it is not reinforced concrete, but is all tiled with bricks. The program started for rehabilitation. It started in 2002. And to date, we have done the lower part of the NOS, or North Althorpe Sewer, which is from almost, I want to say about the Maze area, which is Culver City, down to Hyperion. That portion has already been done. And we are assessing the balance of it, which is really from the 41st and Van Ness all the way to Foreman and Spring Lane up in the valley area. And the Unit 3, then we also prioritized, and we continue to prioritize the part of this NOS as well. There we have from 41st Street to Foreman, we have divided into 26 different units as we looked at it, and we prioritize those units based on the condition that they were in, so we can address the problem immediately. The ones with the higher priority needed more attention quickly. So Unit 3, which is being constructed now, it's one of them. And then the next one that's coming up, I think, to the board, as a matter of fact, and the units are 6 and 7. It's going to be here within the next couple of months to be awarded. And following that, we do Unit 8 and 9, and then we continue with the rest of the units as been voted on. We have also initiated an aggressive CCTV program just to address the areas or the breaches that have not a good, solid condition assessment on this particular NOS. And that all these 26 plus units are to be completed within the next 10 years. We want to see if we can accelerate any of those with the worst condition, and this prioritization is going to identify that. The other project Crystal just briefly talked about was Venice Dual Force Main. Venice Dual Force Main is a 48-inch line that was built in 1950. It's a force main. That means that there is no access to that particular pipe. We cannot take it out of commission. That's the only single pipe that takes the flows from west side of Los Angeles to Hyperion. That is a concrete encased pipe. Has never been inspected, and we're all kind of nervous, to tell you the truth about that. So we have this second project that, as a matter of fact, was awarded by the board last week to put a parallel line in a 54-inch line to do for Venice dual force main. And that would not only will bring redundancy to the system, but also relief, because then now we can inspect the original one and see what the condition is and repair it and have a good, robust system in place.
Ali, on the Venice dual force main project, as you mentioned, it was awarded last week. It was a very involved and extensive award hearing with lobbyists and lawyers and both sides and all of that. It was awarded to the low bid. Completion date late 2019. Do you know when they're scheduled to start after the award?
They haven't issued, the board has not issued the NTP yet because they're putting the portal together. I heard that their mobilization takes about 4 to 6 months for them to get the equipment in. So they would probably start towards the end of the summer, maybe.
Okay, thank you.
We also briefly talked about the secondary basins. Secondary basins are sewer lines that are smaller than 15 inches in diameter. The city is divided into 240 different basins. The green that you can see on the screen here, those are the ones, the basins that have been visited and completed. If there has been any deficiencies, they have been already repaired. The blue ones are under construction, and the yellow and the red ones are in design. So that is the process that it goes there. So the secondary basins were also prioritized. I'm sorry, just to have you stand here for a long time. So the secondary basins were prioritized based on the condition, as I said. The number of spills that we had in each basin divided by total number of basins, and then per basin miles that it was, number of miles that it was in particular in that basin, and what was the total miles. So we came up with a factor. Based on that factor, we looked at the different basins, and we were able to group them together. So we found out that based on the 63 of our SSOs, or soil spills, happened in 33% of these basins. And they were on basins 1 through 3. So we addressed those immediately. They were all done and repaired. And the rest of them, 45%, were done for sewer groups 1 and 4, between 1 and 4, and we were also done too. So we've done quite a bit of repair onto secondary basins as well. So to date, as I said, we had this year, we have completed, today, we have out of 240 basins, we have completed 125 completed. That means that we have looked at 3,268 miles of pipes, and 568 miles have been repaired to date. That gives us a yield of about 17% of that or so. So this past year, we completed 47 miles of sewer rehabilitation on secondary basins, and since 2004, we've done nearly 700 miles. Projects are awarded in 3 different categories. Either they're done as secondary replacement program, or emergency sewer, as if in case of emergency, or they're part of the capital improvement projects. Pumping plants, I briefly talked about that. There are 42 pumping plants within the city. They range in capacity from 25 GPMs to 45,000. They're huge ones. The Venice that we talked about is 45,000 GPM. Those are huge pumps. Currently, we have 6 pumping plants under construction, or rehabilitation, I should say. Some of them are getting backup generators, and their generators repaired. Some of the ones, they have pumps repairs and stuff. So various things that have been happening to the pump plants. These are the following slide shows you the number of slides and where they're located and stuff. So project delivery, the Bureau of Engineering does, of course, the award in the construction for us, the construction management for us. They are either done under emergency repair or expedited repair in some instances for like sewer 5. And then, of course, the capital improvement program, which is the bid and award that takes the longest, but it's the one that is preferred method for us to do. None of this can be done without the outreach. Adele brought up the issue that is from adversarial relationship that we had with the neighborhood is gone into partnership and collaboration, and I couldn't echo that even more, because outreach is a big portion of our work. We do quite a bit of outreach to our neighbors, to our partners, whether they are city departments or other bureaus, as well as other communities. We have a very active advisory order group that is from South Los Angeles, and we get together at least once a year and talk about their issues that they have, and we try to see what we can do. These people used to be very, going to their really meeting was a tough meeting, but now it's one of our friends, and it's a pleasure to meet with them and talk with them and just see how our improvement has impacted their neighborhoods and their lives. Thank you so much. I'll hand it over to my friend, Barry.
Good morning, Barry Bergren with the Bureau of Sanitation, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our operation and maintenance programs. Our operation and maintenance program consists of several different elements. First, there's the sewer cleaning, where we will go out and we'll actually clean the sewers in a preventive basis. We also have chemical root control. We have an aggressive fats, oil, and grease program for our food service establishments. And then we have an odor control program. As far as the sewer cleaning program, I have 220 people that actually are in charge of performing sewer cleaning throughout the city. Last year we performed 156,746 pipe cleanings, and there was a little over 100,000 individual pipes cleaned last year. There are more frequent cleanings on certain pipes. That's why you see the numbers 156,000, and that totaled a little over 7,100 miles. Our program's fairly well balanced. We clean between 6,900 miles of pipe to about 7,200 miles of pipe per year. And that is done with one of the largest fleet of sewer cleaning vehicles in the nation. We have 102 sewer cleaning vehicles. Very pleased to say that we are phasing out all the diesel vehicles, and currently we only have 10 diesel-powered vehicles left in the fleet. 5 will be replaced this year and 5 next year. So the majority of the vehicles are powered by compressed natural gas, with 23 of the vehicles powered by gasoline. This is an interesting graph because, as you can see, the miles of sewer cleaned has increased each year, and there's a direct correlation to that in the reduction of sanitary sewer overflows. If you look at 2004, fiscal year 2004-05, you can see we cleaned slightly more than 3,600 miles, almost 3,700 miles of pipe, compared to what we're doing today at 7,000 miles. And when we look at some of the performance metrics, you'll see the actual graph of how the sanitary sewer overflows is really follow this increase in cleaning. Another important part of our program is the root control program. We have an aggressive chemical root control program. We use a EPA restricted use pesticide that is applied by licensed commercial applicators. It is dimethysodium and diclobinol. It's very effective to actually kill the roots and prevent the root regrowth. We do close to 400 miles per year, and it's really helped reduce our root-related overflows. The effectiveness of the failure, or I should say the failure rate of pipes that are treated with this herbicide to spill again is 0.14%. It is very, very small. So you're looking at it's 99.86% effective in stopping it. This graph shows you the number of miles that we actually treat per year, and we've balanced that program so it's right at about 390 miles per year currently. And the cost for that program is about $2.2 million per year. The other important part of the program is fats, oils, and grease. As we know, food service establishments can have a direct effect on the performance of the collection system by dumping anything that the fats, oils, and grease that could get into the system. And I believe it was calendar year 2000, we implemented a fats, oil, and grease program. The unique thing about this program is it was business friendly. So we give all the food service establishments an opportunity to comply by using best management practices instead of draconian results like you have to put in a grease interceptor, which would be nearly impossible in areas like downtown LA. It's been very successful. We inspect all of those agencies yearly, and they perform about 12,000 inspections last year. That's our Industrial Waste Management Division. And they wrote about 590 notices of violation. Most of those notices of violations are failure to have the proper posters up, or they saw somebody not dry wiping a plate or something along those lines. There's very few serious infractions where they would have to come in and actually impose some type of regulation where they would put in a grease service or a grease interceptor. I can only think of a few of those in the last 10 years where anything like that has happened. So very business friendly. We also have a aggressive odor control program. We do chemical addition. The cost of our chemical addition is a little over $2 million a year. We have the 3 air treatment facilities, as well as we have 10 carbon scrubbers. And the cost of just using the carbon is about another $2 million a year. So just on our odor control, we spend about $4 million per year to try and reduce odors in the system. And that's in addition to cleaning and other capital improvement projects that we do. One of the important things that we have with the waste discharge requirements is we were required to do a sewer system management plan. And this is basically how you operate your system. It starts with your goal, who's the legal authority on our sewer system management plan, which is the Board of Public Works. We do bring our sewer system management plan to you every 5 years for recertification. That was just done in February of 2014, so we'll be back to the board with our sewer system management plan in 2019. We also have to do a audit every 2 years of the program to make sure that we include any changes that may have happened in those 2 years. The key to any program is your monitoring of that program, how well you're measuring it, and looking at your performance. The performance metrics really that tell you about your collection system is how many sanitary sewer overflows do you have? How do you rate with other people? As well as we want to make sure that we're assessing that program so that instead of being reactive, we're being proactive in fixing things before they break. This is one of my most impressive graphs that I like to see. I've been with sanitation working in this program 27 years. And to see the number of sanitary sewer overflows come down to the best rates in the nation is remarkable. Last calendar year, we had 77 sanitary sewer overflows, which is down even from that 103. So far this year, we're at 36 through today. And so that is really remarkable. And
Barry, when you say this year, 36, you mean fiscal year?
Fiscal year. Yeah, fiscal year since July. And last calendar year was the lowest at 77, which is a reduction from a high of 687 of 89%. And that's really good. You can see on how effective the fog control program has been, along with the cleaning and the enforcement and working with the outreach to the food service establishments. We've reduced fog-related overflows by 95%. I mentioned the root control program, and you can see how effective that program has been in reducing the sanitary sewer overflows related to root intrusion. And most of the root intrusion, probably 70 to 80%, comes from the private laterals, which are maintained by the homeowners. So the roots from the trees and everything will grow into the private laterals and then find their way to the sewer, which is the source of water. So it's really a hard thing to try and control. Success in this program only comes from working with everybody, all the bureaus that have been mentioned before, as well as the City Council, the Board of Public Works, the Mayor's Office, as well as our environmental regulators. And it's important to also realize how close that relationship has to be with our labor partners. We have a very close relationship with SEIU 721, as well as other agencies. And we actually have, for the wastewater collection workers, what we a quality assurance program where we actually go out and inspect their work by closed circuit television, give it a grade, and work with them to improve practices as well as improve their cleaning practices. I think the totality of all of these efforts is really what makes us successful. So with that, if there's any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Commissioner Repenning.
I have just a couple questions. I wanted to talk about the LA Winds project and how that's likely to impact your work as it comes online. And then I had another question about recycled water and our goals for recycled water and how that's driving planning for new sewer construction.
I will respond to the LA Winds question. LA Winds is, as you all know, it's a program that is going to replace the antiquated control system that currently exists at 4 treatment plants and the collection system. The good thing about the LA Winds project is that it brings people be under one company and under one umbrella. And that
Ali, can you speak up a little bit? For some reason, the acoustics are better. I'm having trouble hearing.
This is better?
Okay, go ahead.
Is this better? So LA Winds is a Honeywell product that has been, or the contractor, that they're installing their own controller systems. It will unify the entire control philosophy and equipment within all 4 treatment plants and collection systems. We are right now in the middle of upgrading Hyperion. We just started Terminal Island, and Donald Settleman is doing the field verification as we speak. Following these 3 will be the collection systems. The good thing is that it will help us. First of all, it will give us an opportunity to be able to monitor and control the entire activity from one control room. And also, that by itself is quite a bit. Not only that, it will also reduce the operator training, because now operators are all trained on the same equipment, rather than having different equipment being trained on. So that in that regards, it will help us be streamlined, both operator training and also the repair. We don't have to carry as much spares. This makes everything a lot easier to manage.
So let me answer the second question regarding recycled water. As you know, we are leading under the leadership of the mayor and the sustainability team, working on One Water LA plan, which is a integrated effort to address our water needs in the city, working with our partners in Water and Power and across the city departments and the region, and our stakeholders, the community. And really what we wanted to do is look for ways to what I call connecting the dots and drops. It's because for us to increase recycled water, we need to make sure that the supply is close to the demand. If the supply and the demand are far, it becomes difficult to do that. That's when I can say connecting the dots and drops. That's what we're trying to do through the One Water planning effort, which we're underway right now, and we're working very hard on finishing under Ali's leadership and working with Water and Power. We are doing a lot of effort to change how we think and how we plan. So the sewer system is an essential effort for us to ensure that the wastewater that is being treated is closest to the demand. So our highest opportunity is in the San Fernando Valley at the Tillman plant. As you know, we're working together on developing a groundwater recharge project that will treat the water at Tillman plant in the San Fernando Basin and the Sepulveda Basin, and then putting it and recharging it in the San Fernando Valley up in Hanson Dam. The critical element of this is making sure we have enough wastewater that we can treat and generate product water to recharge, while balancing the beneficial uses in the river and the needs around it. With water conservation, which is a great thing, there is an impact. We have less wastewater flows in the system. Through this One Water LA plan, actually we had a workshop yesterday, we're rethinking our planning and we're looking, Betty was part of the discussion with Ali, we're looking at ways to bring flow that naturally does not flow directly into Tillman from the West Valley, that we bring flow from the East Valley, and bring it westward into Tillman. That's a change. That's what we call one water thinking, because otherwise, if the flow continues, it'll go down to Hyperion. It'll become very difficult to reuse it. So there's an effort right now under the One Water effort to actually build a system to take flow all the way from Toluca Lake area, Vineland, and Victory, basically take it west all the way to the basin. That's the thinking we're trying to do. In addition, as part of our sewer system, closer to LA Glendale by the LA Zoo and Griffith Park, we're building a relief sewer. But however, because of the water recycling and the water heightened awareness about water, we actually stopped that sewer project and rethought the project to build a storage facility at the LA Glendale plant to store the wastewater to help us address the capacity in the sewer, but make the wastewater available for the plant during off hours to treat it. That's a change. Then the last thing we're doing right now is looking at an area down by Rancho, closer to UCLA and the west side, where there's a opportunity for about 5 million gallons of recycled water demand, but we don't have the supply there. So we're looking at a partnership to take stormwater, take wastewater from a sewer plant, from the sewer system, and build a satellite treatment system that can supply water for the golf course there, the parks, UCLA, and other areas. And that's something we're working through. So it's we're working very hard, and this integrated planning allows us to rethink on how we need to do. And it's, the sewer system and its integral part, because it's the one that connects these things and allows it to happen. That's the value of integration, and that's the value of working together, because it makes us leverage resources and do the best and provide multi-benefits, not just be single-focused. We need to address the issues, which is the core business, which is conveying wastewater and protecting the environment, but also think, how can we make sure that water is in a place that can be used and is beneficial? So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, and I want to thank you guys for coming in today. I know we had a little bit of discussion on an item recently, and it seemed important that we actually kind of give a larger context. I think our sewer program is one of the biggest things that we do in this department, and it's actually, I think, a very successful program, but like you said, we just don't hear about it because we tend to hear about sewers when something goes wrong. So I appreciate everything you guys are doing, and thanks for the briefing.
Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, I want to just give some general remarks about the effort, our global goal to invest more resources in continuing to do the work that you're doing in our collection system. It is critically important, and I think that Commissioner Repenning referred to a case that we had several weeks ago that talked about a spill, which raised the question about how we effectively manage the system. It was obviously built in the 1930s, some 80 years old now, and we do know that in any kind of system, you have to have the available resources to continue to manage it. And I did hear Adele talk about this organization, the Board of Public Works, commitment to putting the resources in for you to continue your work. And you certainly have my 100% support in doing so. We know that often in government we have to engage in deferred maintenance. But yet at the same time, we also understand that we have to do the work to effectively manage our collection system, as each of you as our management team have done. And I want you to know that to be able to get this status report is very informative and increases the awareness for all of those of us here on the Board of Public Works to have a greater appreciation for what it is that you have to do. We know that we have built this great system, but a part of the responsibility with building the great system is effectively managing it. And this tool and the status report that you have given us today has helped to certainly increase our awareness on how very complex your challenge has been. And again, I just conclude by saying that you certainly have my 100% support for rechanneling resources to help you be as effective as you can. And I think that I speak for a lot of the people in the city as well about our desire to support you to do a good job in effectively managing our collection system. So once again, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Cinto?
Thank you, Adele, Ali, and Barry. Thank you for this wonderful report. The context that we're having, and based on the recent discussion, is important. 10 years, an incredible amount of commitment, leadership from LA San in partnership with engineering and BCA and contract administration. I'm glad that you wove that together, because we do that as a department, and being able to, one, fulfill a very fundamental safety issue on our mayor's agenda, back to basics. A safe city is not only safe from crime and safe, but public health-wise. So, the graphs tell it all. A picture tells 1,000 words. I join my colleagues in thanking you folks for the commitment. And I will say that one of the major things that I see here is the trust that we've built over the last 10 years. Where it was adversarial, now, Ali, as you said, is more collegial. Well, we've still got work to do because we're managing it on an annual basis, but that's a net. To build trust in our public is something that we in government must do better and strive to do. So here's to the next year and years, and I thank you very much for everything you've done.
Thank you, Commissioner Cinto. Commissioner Rivas?
Thank you so much for this very detailed report. And I just came back from D.C. I was at the Keep America Beautiful conference representing our affiliate here, the Keep LA Beautiful. And I listened to so many people there that represented cities where they're not as proactive as Los Angeles, where they don't do recycling. They're not doing outreach, in terms of oil and grease, to food establishments. And that's what they were presenting. And it made me appreciate all of the work that you're doing and how proactive Los Angeles is. And I look forward to working with you on how Keep LA Beautiful can complement what you're doing, what you need. So thank you for this. It was perfect timing because I just heard a lot of this from other cities all across the U.S. I really think you're the leader, that LA is the leader in a lot of this. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Rivas. First of all, I've practiced law for over 25 years. I never saw a settlement agreement bound like this. Pretty impressive. I recognize that this is 10 years of reports of a settlement agreement, but I congratulate you on the progress and the amount of work and the effort and the leadership it took to get to all of this. I know that it was a huge undertaking. I also would really just thank you all and your leadership team and management and really everyone at the Bureau of Sanitation because as I think it was Adele that mentioned, in the late 90s with every storm there, and I remember that, there were spills of some sort, so that it wasn't a matter of what, it was where. And unfortunately then, while it was a disruption, it wasn't such a surprising news story. Now, today, if there's a spill, it's a major news story, which is a real, we hate that, obviously, all of us do. But we also kind of forget that that's a real testament to the progress you've made, that it is such a big story because it is so unusual. So thank you for all the years of progress. We look forward to it continuing. And to echo something Commissioner Rivas said, the leadership that in leading the nation really in some of the areas that Commissioner Rivas mentioned that have been real challenges for other communities. I recognize that we have some advantages because we're a larger city than smaller cities with some of that, but okay, so seize the reins, and that's what you guys do. Thank you. I can't remember if there was anything else I was going to say, but if there is, I'll have to add it in the next report. All right, thank you all.
Just let me just recognize City Attorney also. I mean, I know they're behind the scenes helping. They played a big role. I know that's a critical thing. And one thing that I think we failed to also talk about, which is our trucks right now, they're not just CNG, and Bear has been working very hard. Our trucks right now are being retrofitted to use recycled water. Our cleaning trucks are not using potable water. So, and we're going gradually through our fleet to make sure that we are not only protecting the environment from cleaning the sewers, but we're also not using potable water, but using recycled water. That's a change. That's a shift in our operation. But all that only can be done because of people like Barry, Ali, leadership that we have, but also the staff, the workers that are there every day, and the partnership with the departments, as you mentioned, Commissioner. Last thing I want to say is I was talking to doctors 10 years ago about the sewer system, and they were challenging us on what we're doing with the sewer overflows. And it's funny, I said, that we share with doctors the same thing. The sewer system is similar to a human body, that we go in, we do assessment, we sometimes have to put them on medication, we have a follow-up, and things sometimes doesn't work with the medicine, like Lipitor and others. We have to go in and do some bypasses. We do that. And sometimes heart attacks happen, but we're good at responding and saving the patient and minimizing the impact. That's what we do. So it's all about public health. And sometimes we forget that we have that in common. And the doctors at the time, I was a commission from public health, said, we had never thought that we have the same thing in common. We save lives together. So I want to leave that with that conclusion. Thank you.
Dylan. You remind me, part of what I was going to mention too was in echo to Commissioner Repenning, we are looking forward to more impressive numbers on recycling water. We know that you all will get there. I know the county publishes theirs. We occasionally publish ours here and there, but it is a real opportunity for us.
The next report is behind.
Okay, thank you guys. Appreciate it. That oral report will be received. Final agenda item this morning, stormwater capture, quarterly report, Bureau of Sanitation. Costa Kaporis. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, President James. Good morning, Board Commissioners and Bureau representatives. My name is Costa Kaporis. I'm with our Watershed Protection Division of LA Sanitation. I'll give a little overview of some of our recent activities. We started recently tabulating and estimate the amount of volumes that our stormwater green infrastructure projects are intercepting. Much of that flow replenishes the groundwater aquifer, and we tabulate in 3 columns. And we just started this year, and as you probably can tell, we have a wet season so far. We've already have 15 inches of rain, which is typically the historical average. But with respect to our stormwater project, the first column is projects that the city has implemented, and the volumes that are indicated there are in acre feet. And the total on the bottom is also shown in million gallons. We prefer to measure water in acre feet and sewage in MGD or million gallons. But so you have a good understanding of both parameters. The first column is projects we have implemented. The second column are parcel-based. Our LID, like private developers, are required to have stormwater mitigation requirements, and that reflects of the accumulated projects that have been implemented over the last 10 years that we have this program, more than that actually. And the third column is the amount of runoff that is diverted by our low-flow diversions systems, which are diverted actually to the Hyperion. As more we have bigger storms, more volume is typically captured. So that's the first thing, and we will start producing this monthly report. For, so that's that. The second item I want to give a briefing on is the 5 projects that are jointly funded by us and Department of Water and Power. Two of those, the Lankershim and the Van Nuys Boulevard, were advertising, soliciting a proposal for the implementation of those projects, and the remaining 3 were in the process of having internal approval of the solicitation for those. The third item is the Westwood Neighborhood Greenway project, which is by the Westwood station of the Expo line on land that is shared by Metro. And we've been developing the concept of this project, and we're happy to announce that the Santa Monica Bay Restoration Commission, which is a state agency overseen by the State Water Resources Control Board, has selected this project to receive $2.2 million in state funding under Prop 84, and we will use this as a leverage to also seek propositional funding. And the last item is the Green Stormwater Infrastructure Academy. Commissioner Penning is probably more familiar on this than me, but we are in the process. We have advertised for a TOS to solicit proposals from consultants to develop curriculum and a pilot a class for the training people in the operation and maintenance and in the implementation of green infrastructure projects. That concludes my report. Much shorter than the previous.
Thank you, sir. It was shorter than I thought it was going to be. I might have had you go earlier, but I thought it was same bureau. You probably wanted to hear the guys anyway. So, any questions at all from Mr. Kaporis? Nothing, Adele? You have a question, sir?
I think I just want to stress. I think for you is we are building projects across the city in South LA, for example. Yes. We just finished Broadway. We're doing the University Park and Greenways. We're looking at working with the mayor's office and the folks on the sidewalk team, how we integrate some stormwater capture components as part of what's being done. There was a discussion yesterday at Prop O. But I looked at the numbers for the 30 projects we have done on sanitation, green infrastructure projects. It's about annual capture of stormwater, about 15,000 acre feet per year. What does that mean? It's enough water for 50,000 households in the city of LA a year. So it's a big number, and more we need to do. I know it's important for us to put it in that context. The more we do, the more we're going to be able to become sustainable. So things are being done, but we need to continue investing the same way in that future, and because it has all these multi-benefits that we can provide. So thank you.
Thank you. We love hearing about these projects and their progress, so keep it up. Thank you all. Any other questions? None? Mr. Campos, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Then the oral report will be received, and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.